So I guess I'll read first line of the Sanskrit and you can repeat after me like that. Natad basayate suryo na shashanko na pavaka yad gatva na nivartante tadhama paramam mama natad basayate suryo na shashanko na pavaka yad gatva na nivartante tadhama paramam mama. Would anyone like to recite the verse?
Natad basayate suryo na shashanko na pavaka yad gatva na nivartante tadhama paramam mama.
Natad basayate suryo na shashanko na pavaka yad gatva na nivartante tadhama paramam mama.
Natad basayate suryo
na
shashanko na pavaka yad gatva na nivartante tadhama paramam mama.
Natad basayate suryo na shashanko na pavaka yad gatva na nivartante tadhama paramam mama.
Anyone else?
Natad basayate suryo na shashanko na pavaka yad gatva na nivartante tadhama paramam mama.
Okay, anyone else? Alright, so I'll read the English translation. That supreme abode of mine is not illumined by the sun or moon, nor by fire or electricity. Those who reach it never return to this material world. Please repeat after me. That supreme abode of mine is not illumined by the sun or moon, nor by fire or electricity. Those who reach it never return to this material world. It's very nice. We just got to reach it and we won't come back. So, purport by His Divine Grace, Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami, Srila Prabhupada. The spiritual world, the abode of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, which is known as Krishna Loka, Goloka Vrindavan, is described here. In the spiritual sky, there is no need of sunshine, moonshine, cell phones, fire, or electricity. Because all the planets are self-luminous. We have only one planet in this universe, the sun, which is self-luminous, but all the planets in the spiritual sky are self-luminous. The shining effulgence of all those planets, called Vaikunthas, constitutes the shining sky known as the Brahma Jyoti. Actually, the effulgence is emanating from the planet of Krishna, Goloka Vrindavan. Part of that shining effulgence is covered by the Mahatattva, the material world. Other than this, the major portion of that shining sky is full of spiritual planets, which are called Vaikunthas, chief of which is Goloka Vrindavan. As long as a living entity is in this dark material world, he is in this conditioned life. But as soon as he reaches the spiritual sky by cutting through the false, perverted tree of this material world, he becomes liberated. Then there is no chance of his coming back here. In his conditional life, the living entity considers himself to be the Lord of this material world. But in his liberated state, he enters the spiritual kingdom and becomes an associate of the Supreme Lord. There, he enjoys eternal bliss, eternal life, and full knowledge. One should be captivated by this information. He should desire to transfer himself to that eternal world and extricate himself from this false reflection of reality. For one who is too much attached to this material world, it is very difficult to cut that attachment. But if he takes to Krishna consciousness, there's a chance of gradually becoming detached. One has to associate himself with devotees, those who are in Krishna consciousness. One should search out a society dedicated to Krishna consciousness and learn how to discharge devotional service. In this way, he can cut off his attachment to this material world. One cannot become detached from the attraction of the material world simply by dressing himself in saffron cloth. He must become attached to the devotional service of the Lord. Therefore, one should take it very seriously that devotional service, as described in the 12th chapter, is the only way to get out of this false representation of the real tree. In chapter 14, the contamination of all kinds of processes by material nature is described. Only devotional service is described as purely transcendental. The words paramam mama are very important here. Actually, every nook and corner is the property of the Supreme Lord, but the spiritual world is paramam, full of 6 opulences. The Katha Upanishad also confirms that in the spiritual world there is no need of sunshine, moonshine, or stars. Na tatra suryo pati na chandratarakam. From the whole spiritual sky is illuminated by the internal potency of the Supreme Lord. That supreme abode can be achieved only by surrender and by no other means. So the verse again, that supreme abode of mine is not illumined by the sun or moon, nor by electricity or fire. Those who reach it never return to this material world. Namah Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Ramapad Swami Tinamine. Namah Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Tinamine. Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pacharini Nirvishesha Shunnavari Pashyatani Shatarini. Jai Srila Prabhupada. So I hope everyone's familiar with the Bhagavad-gita as it is. I think most of us are. Gita means song, and Bhagavad is Bhagavan, Krishna, the one who has full 6 opulences. Everyone wants to have some kind of opulences in this world, but we're all very limited because of our material situation. So each of us has very limited amount of those opulences. But Krishna, he's Bhagavan. He has all opulences in full. All wealth, all fame, all renunciation, all beauty, all power, all wealth. Again, is very difficult to imagine someone who has all wealth. We all want to be wealthy, but Krishna has all the wealth because he is Ishvara Parama Krishna Satchit Ananda Vigraha Anadir Adir Govinda Sarvakarana Karanam. He is Adi. He's the origin of everything. He's the cause of all causes. So imagine a person who is not only the owner of everything, but everything emanates from Krishna. That's God, right? So you think about it. Do we have any kind of ability like that? No, it's not possible. We have very limited capacity. If you see a little ant walking in the room, what kind of consciousness does that ant have? The ant is walking on the floor. It's probably seeing, okay, I'm on the floor. It doesn't know that it's a floor. It just thinks it's some kind of surface. It doesn't know that it's in a room called 26 2nd Avenue. It doesn't know it's in a storefront located, on 2nd Avenue in Manhattan and in America and on a planet called Earth. It has no idea. It has a very limited perception of what it's seeing in front of it. That's all it knows. So for us, similarly, Krishna comes to give us this knowledge in order to open our consciousness up a little bit beyond our limited perception. So we have that limited perception also in a variant degree. So we're only aware of what we see in our immediate surroundings or what we hear, but we don't really have an expanded consciousness that goes beyond this material world. When we're in the spiritual world, as pure devotees, we're possessed of full spiritual knowledge. We have a fully spiritual body, not like this one, made of skin, bones, organs, all kinds of things that cause us trouble, basically. We don't have to go see the doctor because the body is fully spiritual. And also, by the mercy of Srimati Radharani, who's the Ladini, pleasure potency of Krishna, we're all blissful. So here, in the spiritual world, it's Sat Chit Ananda. So eternal, Chit, full of knowledge, Ananda, full of bliss. In the material world is Asat, temporary, Achit, limited knowledge or practically no spiritual knowledge. It's all covered. All our spiritual knowledge is practically erased. So we can assume a material identity. And Nirananda, no bliss, no happiness. We have a very, very limited amount of happiness, which is considered, in comparison to one who's experiencing spiritual happiness, material happiness is considered so infinitesimally insignificant that basically it doesn't register on the radar. Krishna now is starting to, he starts the chapter by telling Arjuna that you have to slay your attachments with the weapon. Anybody remember what that weapon was? Cutting down the tree with a weapon of? No? Close? Huh? Yes, detachment. So, in order to cut a tree down, you need a weapon like an axe or a chainsaw. It's very hard to do it otherwise. You cannot use any other means. So Krishna is giving us the most important item that we have to focus on in our spiritual life. While we're becoming attached to Krishna, which is the goal is to reawaken our attachment for the Lord, we have to become detached from the material world around us, all the material circumstances. Easiest way to begin to try to focus our attention that way is to increase our attachment for Krishna, and automatically the detachment comes. It's a gradual process, like Prabhupada says in the purport, but it will come. And it's not a forced thing. It will come naturally because we become more absorbed in Krishna consciousness, and we realize our eternal identity. The fact that we're not meant to be part of this world. And that the more important fact is that we're eternally servants of Krishna, not eternally servants of his material energy, Maya. So right now, we're not in the supreme abode of Krishna in one sense. Prabhupada says that 3/4 of the spiritual world is 3/4 of the creation, and the material world is 1/4 of the creation, the Mahatattva. So we're in that part, which is considered the dark region of creation, because the effulgence of the Lord, known as the Brahma Jyoti, which emanates, Prabhupada says in the purport, it emanates from Goloka Vrindavan, but more specifically, it emanates directly from Krishna's body. So the Brahma Jyoti is all expansive. It goes through the spiritual creation and the material creation. But when it gets to the Mahatattva, the material creation, the part where we're in, it becomes limited, and it becomes only shining through certain planets, like the sun planet. For us, each universe has one sun planet. No matter how big that universe is, that one sun planet is energetic. It gives the light, it gives the heat, it evaporates the water for the rain to come. It allows vegetation to grow. It sets your schedule, right? So when you wake up in the morning, the sun rises, hey, I'm going to face a day, and then the sun sets, okay, I'm going to take it easy, So the sun has a specific rotation in each universe, and it's providing the same amenity that I just described to every single planet. And every single planet is populated by other beings. So they depend on the sun just like we do. So when you think of a resident of another planet, like you can look up in the sky, you think someone's looking at that sun. I'm also looking at the sun. Actually, we're both looking at the same sun, but we're on different planets. So that's pretty far out, you think about that, The demigods have a different perception of reality, and we have a different perception of reality. And if you go in the lower planetary systems, they have a different perception of reality. Demigods are more enlightened. They have more Krishna consciousness. In one sense, they have a higher sense of pleasure, but they also have a deeper connection with Krishna than we do. And then here in the middle, where the earthly realm is, we have a little bit of desire to sort of understand ourselves. Our consciousness is opened up a little bit, wherein we think, well, am I this body? Am I a spiritual being? Am I a material being? If you really think about it, am I these eyes? Or am I looking through the eyes? Am I these ears? Or am I hearing through the ears? Am I this mouth? Or am I speaking through the mouth? Somehow your consciousness starts to think a little bit more esoterically about who you are, at least if you have a little bit of a spiritual awakening. And when you go to the lower regions, the dark regions of reality, you have practically no spiritual consciousness showing at all. And just like the little ant, it has no spiritual concept. Even though there's a soul in the ant body, exactly like us, that ant body, unfortunately, is in a circumstance where the darkest region of consciousness is their experience on a moment-to-moment basis. So Krishna's trying to guide us because we're in the human form. We have 2 legs, 2 arms, 2 eyes. We have a specific form called the human body, which is considered to be the vehicle for self-realization. It's not meant to be engaged in the activities of lower animals, which for them, it's second nature. They don't even think about it, If once you're in a dog body, even though you're a pure soul inside that dog body, you still have to act like a dog. Somebody walks by, you're going to bark. You're going to defend your master. Everything that a dog does, you're just conditioned. You have to become a dog. So for us in the human body, we have an opportunity to reawaken our spiritual consciousness. So that's a priority for us, that we should focus and make use of this body somehow or other. Don't let it go to waste. I was just remembering when I was in my teens, I saw a few kids playing around the other day, and I was just there like not that long ago. I was doing the same stupid stuff that they were doing. And it's like, how come now I'm like middle-aged already? Wow, And you don't notice it. It creeps up on you. Time is a very subtle thing. It just, little by little, you just, wow, one more year, another year. I'm sure if you're a parent, you have children, you see your children, all of a sudden there were little babies in your arms, and now they're running around your house, and next thing they're going to be going to college, and it's very, inconspicuous by how it just creeps up on you. Time is very powerful like that. So the biggest tool that Krishna is giving us right now in this chapter, which is the yoga of the Supreme Person, Krishna is getting very intimate. He's now on the 15th chapter, which is basically 3 chapters away from finishing the whole Gita. So at this point in time, he's not, Arjuna has accepted Krishna as God, even though they were friends and maternal cousins in the beginning. Now Arjuna is, okay, you're the Supreme Person. You've showed me all these instructions. You've showed me your universal form. I'm convinced that you're God. You're God, and you're my guru, and you're talking to me right in front of me. He's totally blown away by Krishna. He's completely in love with Krishna. He was already before, but now it's like his dormant, eternal relationship with Krishna has been fully reawakened, and now Krishna is giving him everything, all the most intimate knowledge that you need to get out of this material world. He's giving it to Arjuna without any hesitation. He's not holding anything back. It's like the sun, right? The sun shines for everybody. If you're a good person, if you're a bad person, whatever you may be, whoever you may be, an animal, a plant, an insect, the sun is shining on everyone. It doesn't discriminate, So Krishna is doing the same thing. He's giving this knowledge for everybody. He's not telling Arjuna a specific thing that wouldn't apply to you, to me, to any one of us. It's knowledge that's eternal, and it's after 5,000 years, it still holds true. If you read the Bhagavad-gita now, everything Krishna's saying is, works. Most manuals, you have to upgrade and change, and everything changes in the material world. But this spiritual knowledge is so precise that, 20 million years from now, anybody reads it, the exact same book that we're reading now, they're going to benefit, and they're going to be able to go back to the spiritual world because of it. So, anybody have any questions at this point? Andrea? Hare Krishna.
You mentioned about the hellish planets.
Yes.
So
I said lower planets.
Lower planets.
Trying to avoid the drama.
Exactly. the lower planets, and how there's almost like no spiritual kind of focus there. So then, how do the souls that are there make it out? Like, what is their way?
Okay, that's a very nice question, actually. Krishna has a very scientific arrangement that he made, right? So, first you could start in the heavenly planets. The residents over there, basically, it's like having a huge bank account with a lot of money in it. So the souls that have this kind of money are like sort of on a very nice vacation, you could say. They have a really long life. Everything's hunky-dory. There are many descriptions that their bodies don't smell. They actually have very pleasing aromas. Everybody walk and their body is not as grossly material as ours. It's more subtle. So they have a higher intellect. Their hearing is better. They can appreciate music. They can have beautiful gardens. Descriptions are very beautiful gardens. Everything there is very opulent on a very high standard. So you're there and you're slowly burning off. Basically you got to spend your bank account money, your spiritual bank account money, or pious credit. You're spending that. And little by little, kshine punye marcha lokam vishanti. You gotta come back down. You can't stay there forever. So when your lifetime is finished there, you come to the middle planetary system. And here it's got good and bad, pious and impious. So you can make the choice. Some people are quite intuitive. Some souls have this practice of increasing their piety every time they're in a human form, because that's their desire. So then they go back again, and then they come back. It's like a Ferris wheel, And they kind of somehow avoid the hellish. It's very rare. But most people, when they come here, they unfortunately make the wrong choice and engage in nunam pramata kurute vikarma. So it's not karma, they're engaged in vikarma, which is very sinful activity. And you accrue impiety. Impious credit starts to build. Your account starts to go down really bad. So that when your next birth comes, your destination has to be in the lower region. Okay, so you get there, and the way you nullify the impious credit, which is your question, is unfortunately through punishment. And by that punishment, the Yamadutas, who are the servants of Yamaraj, who is the superintendent of death, they asked different questions to Yamaraj, and Yamaraj explained to them the whole process. So when they were re-explaining the process to the Vishnu Dutas, they said that what happens is, by going through this kind of punishment, the soul actually gets purified. So that purification reconditions the soul. It's like kind of setting you straight, you know. You do something wrong, you know, all right, you know, you get a slap, and then maybe you think, oh, I don't want to do it, but then you get a really hard slap, so, okay, I'm not going to do it anymore. And you can think about so many different kinds of examples, you know. Material nature is scientifically organized by Krishna because she's his nature, she's his energy. But you have to always keep in mind that she's, how do you say in a nice way, so as not to make any offense, like she's not forgiving in the sense that, okay, there's a little child, he's asking his father, what's the fire, Daddy, what's the fire? The daddy's like, oh, it's just fire, you don't want, oh, let me go there. No, you don't want to touch it, So finally the kid is just, you know, a kid, and he just goes and touches the fire. What happens? He's going to get burnt. So material nature is not going to discriminate, oh, you're a little kid, I'm not going to burn you. No, so there's certain laws that are cemented in the fabric of the material creation, you know. So, but to answer your question, it's a process of purification.
And they come back to the middle.
Yes, and then from there you can either go back down again or you can go back up again. Now there is a part of the Srimad Bhagavatam where the demigods that are living in heaven, they get some glimpses of spiritual consciousness. In other words, they realize what they're doing may not be the best thing, because there's no deep loving connection with Krishna. They're so much absorbed in enjoyment that they're, once in a while they think about Krishna. It's like going to church on Sunday. I think I can compare it to that, something like that, you know. Like once a week, maybe a little more. You know, they'll stop whatever they're doing. They'll go offer respects to Krishna. Thank you, you know. But it's not, you know, when you're in love with someone, you think about the person all the time. You know, their name is running through your mind, and you can't help yourself. You're in love, you know. So, and that's really, each one of us has a loving relationship with Krishna that's all-consuming. It's so consuming that it can fully satisfy us eternally. So these residents of the heavenly planets, you know, they start thinking, okay, you know, maybe now I should take Krishna consciousness a little bit more seriously. And some of them actually begin to pray that they can take birth on this planet. And specifically it says Bharatvarsha, which refers to India, but Bharatvarsha used to refer to the whole planet. But they want to take on this human body, because with this human body of maximum 100 years, if they engage in devotional service to Krishna, they can have the chance to go back to the spiritual world that quickly. Now their life over there is millions of years compared to ours, but here within a short span of life, 100 years, you know, not that everybody lives 100 years, but I think I don't know what the average is. Maybe for men it's 70 something. For women it's higher. 80, I think 85 for women, and huh? Maybe 80. Yeah. And so, you know, women are more careful and more intelligent. So it's not that long of a life, but by engaging in devotional service, by basically trying to surrender to Krishna through the process of devotional service, immediately the benefit is so great that even if you counted, let's say, some soul comes here, he doesn't make it in one life, he goes maybe 10 lifetimes. You know, that's still not much. You know, 1,000 years compared to millions of years, and you're actually not getting closer to Krishna, you're going further away. So even 10 lifetimes here of devotional service, and boom, you go back to the spiritual world. Those who reach it never return to this material world. And there's also another verse in the Gita where Krishna says that anyone who says Janma Karma Chame Divyam, anyone who knows the nature of my appearance and activities does not take birth again in this material world. Krishna makes this kind of promise several times in the Bhagavad-gita. It's to encourage us that he's actually watching, right? So I assume everybody here believes in God to some degree, yes? Yes? So that's the beginning of faith, believing, faith, Adao Shraddha, faith that God exists. And then if you take it a little deeper on your own and you think about it, somebody's watching everything you do all the time. And it's Krishna. He's silently waiting. He knows all your desires. He knows all your thoughts. And he's Eko Bahunam Yovidadati Kaman. Bahunam, the many, Eko, one, is Krishna. He's the one fulfilling the desires of the many since time immemorial. So nobody else is fulfilling those desires for you except Krishna. He knows what you want. So let's say you had a desire from many lifetimes ago. Krishna knows what it was. You may have forgotten, but Krishna knows. So you're walking down the street, all of a sudden you run into this circumstance, and you're like, well, this is so weird, Things start to happen, whatever, Next thing is like, oh, you become a movie star. And, you think it's completely karma, like, chance. You don't even know that's karma. You just think it's chance. Everything's happening by accident. I'm so special, that's why it happened to me. Actually, it's, destiny, your karma, however it was, your desire that you had, that you wanted some fame, you wanted some money. And really, it'll be frustrating in the end no matter what. You just gotta, when you're waiting online at the supermarket, look at those magazines for a minute and see everybody's divorcing. I hate him, I hate her, I'm taking the kids, no, the money, all kinds of problems. They're getting all kinds of attacks from different people. So, everything is tainted with a little bit of worry. Nothing is, 100% beautiful. Any other questions before I go on? Oh.
Hare Krishna Prabhu.
I'll get to you right afterwards. Thank
I'm sorry.
No, no problem.
My ears are out, so I don't know.
Okay. Well, devotional service begins by hearing.
No, I'm trying as best as I could.
I'm just joking. Sorry.
I was reading this book about Prabhupada, and he said something like, when someone takes up devotional service and starts chanting the Maha Mantra, they become elevated like that of a demigod. So
yeah, Sura.
I was trying
You
to
become like a
figure out,
Sura.
What exactly is he? If you have to be human to gain to grow your devotional service and to develop bhakti, then why is Srila Prabhupada comparing a person that is chanting, becoming a Vaishnava, that of the same standard of a demigod? I just don't quite understand.
Yeah, that's true. There's some comparisons that Srila Prabhupada draws on that, and I'll tell you the main reason.
Yeah.
When they're in trouble, which happens to the demigods, they get attacked a lot. What do they do? Okay, they pray to Krishna. They take shelter of Lord Narayan. They take shelter of Vishnu, who's non-different from Krishna. They go and pray to him. I'm in trouble. You got to help me, please. These guys, they're, what is the pastime with Bali Maharaj? They basically the asuras, the demons, came and took over the entire heavenly kingdom.
Yeah.
And all the demigods had to flee.
Yeah.
They basically lost their home. They got booted out of their house. And they loved that house. Boy, that's the best house they've ever had. And you got to go. And then they have to go hide. So they're in fear. So what they do is they pray. They pray to Krishna. They take shelter of Krishna. But on the other hand, the asuras, those who are, I guess for lack of a better word, the Prabhupada says demons, but basically materialistic, whenever they're in trouble, they don't turn to Krishna. So it's nice that the demigods, we can aspire to be like them because this way we can pray to Krishna also. But a Vaishnava is higher than a demigod, any day. And there's, in the Srimad Bhagavatam, there's a lot of proof of different stories where just the one story is with Indra and Vritrasura. Vritrasura was cursed to become a demon, basically, and he had a fight with Indra. Indra is basically considered to be the king of heaven. and he's the most pious demigod there is. Nobody else, in terms of piety, he's got the biggest bank account. He's the chief, so no one can beat him, But Vritrasura, before he got cursed, he was a topmost devotee, very advanced devotee, who was a disciple of Narada Muni, who was basically, if you've read the Bhagavatam or heard stories from the Bhagavatam, Narada Muni is the spiritual master of Prahlad Maharaj, of Dhruva Maharaj, of Vyasadeva, practically everyone you can run into, all the different stories in the Bhagavatam. So, and Narada Muni gave him this mantra, and he said, you chant this mantra, and in a very short time, you will see the Lord. And he did that, I think, some really short amount of time. I think it was 10 days or something like that. And within 10 days, he got the darshan of the Lord. He got to see God. I mean, someone gave us a mantra. We have the mantra. We have Hare Krishna mantra. I've been chanting for many years. It takes time, But so to tell you how exalted he was. So then some circumstance happened. He offended, Lord Shiva's wife got a little offended. He got cursed and became a demon. So, and then Indra and him got into a battle. And Indra was basically losing, but Vritrasura was encouraging Indra, come on, fight, I want you to win. And Indra was like, what? I want to win too, I don't want to die, I want my material kingdom, I want my opulence back, I want everything back, So basically, little by little, as the fight goes on, Indra starts to understand that Vritrasura is actually a devotee. The Vritrasura is telling Indra, I want you to kill me because after I'm beaten in this life, I get to go back to the spiritual world, to the kingdom of God. That's a benediction for me. That's where I want to go. And then Indra starts to think, wow, this guy's a devotee. This guy's a Vaishnav. I'm not interested in going to the spiritual world. I want to win the fight so I can get, my opulence back. I can go back to my beautiful wife, my beautiful home. And his home is really splendid. His home is so great that every day people come to his home. And what do? They start singing songs about him. They're offering all kinds of honor, and they're glorifying him, and he's the king of heaven. So he's like, wow. He's like more famous than all the movie stars you can imagine put together. He's the most pious soul in all the material creation. So, he's also a devotee. When he's in trouble, he prays to Krishna, but his ultimate goal is within himself, his ultimate desire is not to reawaken his loving relationship with Krishna and go back to the spiritual world. So, but the demigods by far, if we can get to a point where we have a little bit of a demigod consciousness, that's very good. In that sense,
I see.
Hare Krishna. I
I
hope I'm doing everything. I'm saying everything.
Can I supplement?
Yeah, please, Prabhu, please.
Also, demigods develop all their good qualities, materially speaking, good qualities due to their hard work in the material world, their austerities, right? As Kaliya Krishna was saying, and with that naturally comes some piety, such that they respect the Lord as well. But the material, as he was saying, the desire to enjoy the material world is more prevalent of the quality than the desire to serve the Lord. But it's there. So another reason why when one practices devotional service, one becomes a sura, or can be referred to as like a demigod, is because without going through, lifetime after lifetime after lifetime after lifetime of tribulation, of austerity, and so forth, to improve one's status in the material world, one in a second develops all material good qualities. Well, in a second, if one surrenders to Krishna. So in other words, because Prabhupada says, if you chant Hare Krishna, then it's like clapping your hand, all your bad karma's wiped out, even the good karma. But what happens then is you have all good qualities. So devotees, when they're serious about devotional service, they have like all that, they transform in ways that are palpable to anyone. So you can see all of a sudden they're thinking straight, they have more control over their mind and senses, they tend to be kinder and things like this. So in this way, one may not be able to distinguish in a practical level, unless you're a devotee, you may not be able to distinguish their qualities from those qualities of the demigods. The distinction is that the devotee who's got those qualities of the demigods, he's on the fast track to Krishna, whereas the demigod, he's worshiping Krishna on the side, but he's trying to enjoy the material world.
That's true. Liz, right?
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, I didn't get to your question.
You mentioned 3 words. I think you're talking about instant gratification and happiness. You said one of them is like it's never happy. The other one is like temporary happiness.
Right.
And then the other one is like I guess in between. Like
I think no. It's from a spiritual perspective. Our spiritual body I was describing as Sat, Chit, Ananda. So Sat is eternal, and Chit is knowledge, and Ananda is bliss. And then I was describing the material world equivalent or opposite, which is Asat, which is temporary, Achit, which is no spiritual knowledge, and Nirananda, which is no bliss. Yeah. So it just in regards to the fact that we're Srila Prabhupada, I just heard a lecture this morning. Srila Prabhupada immediately starts the lecture. It had some reference to some kind of, nowadays people have a specific conception of who God is in their mind, and mostly it's what we refer to in the Hare Krishna movement as an impersonal conception. Prabhupada started the lecture immediately, said, we are personalists. So our focus is on a supreme person, and because his body, everything emanates from his body, all creation, all the beings, us included, we have a spiritual body, which is anu, tiny, and limited. Even in our spiritual reality, in our spiritual body, we can't be Krishna. We're servants of Krishna. Krishna is unlimited in every aspect. So we have a spiritual body also, but in a tiny little form. Just like there's a great ocean, and you could take a drop of the ocean. The drop will be chemically exactly the same composition as the entire ocean, but there's a difference between the drop and the ocean. So in the spiritual world, our body is actually fit to be able to associate with Krishna. You can't be with someone who's got a spiritual body unless you yourself have a spiritual body. So, and the material world covers all that and gives us a material body, which has a lot of disadvantages. There was a few other things that I wanted to cover real quick also. How we can, Krishna means all attractive. That's the translation of the word Krishna. So what attracts Krishna? Can anybody guess or try to say what would attract Krishna? He's all attractive, but there's a few things that may attract him.
The mantra?
Yes, chanting Hare Krishna, yes. That's very, very observant. Why would that be the case, right?
I was told that it's like calling upon him directly.
That's right. So you're calling on God in a specific mood, right? Why do people call on God mostly? If you think about it, the largest majority of people, when they're in trouble and they have no other recourse, they start to call on God. They want some kind of grace, some kind of mercy from the Lord. So they're calling his name. So Krishna, he hears his name being called by you. You're, just like I say, Atma Prabhu, automatically Atma recognizes his name like that. But you say, Atma Prabhu, please help me, Atma, please help me. So the mood changes also. You can intensify the attraction. Krishna will be more conscious of you that way. If If you're just saying it kind of like that, without real purpose, it'll help. But if you want to attract Krishna that way, chanting his name is the best way to start. There are other things, that if you can think about what other qualities, maybe I can, any qualities that you can think of? All right, well, Andrea?
He's very playful and mischievous, so if he's attracted to like leelas of like having pastimes with devotees in a playful mood.
Playful mood. Yeah, well, that's that could work. I'm more thinking of us like in a very conditioned state, like kind of really, what mood we can imbibe in our approach to Krishna that can help us attract him to us, right?
Just
So
very, like, humble.
yeah, humility.
Devotion.
Humility is one of the things, right? So there's so many different examples where Krishna just became very attracted because someone had genuine humility. He was not. The word humiliation, sometimes can be associated with humility. So if you get humiliated in some circumstance, you're going to develop some humility. So there's different ways that Krishna uses the material energy to rectify our behavior until we become humble enough. And then by seeing genuine humility, not false humility, but genuine humility, say, you're surrendering, and in all humility you want Krishna to accept you, then automatically he becomes attractive. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Yes, Krishna.
Very well.
I had went to a service on First Avenue, and he
Yes.
said that we're not supposed to contact Krishna directly. Like, he has a way that he wants us to contact him, the way we're supposed to devote ourselves, and it starts with the spiritual master and
Right.
being around devotees. And
Right.
So are you allowed to just talk to him, like just have a conversation with him, like do you
Sure.
need to just call him?
Sure.
Or is that insulting to him because he already has his way that he wants you to approach him?
Well, in the Srimad Bhagavatam, there's many, many different pastimes where there's different souls, devotees, who are directly praying to Krishna. He likes that. It's not wrong, but I think what the person you were listening to may have referred in terms of we need a spiritual master in order to guide us through our spiritual journey, because we're kind of infants in that way. So we need someone to give us proper guidance so that we can engage in devotional service on a practical level. Say you clean the temple, somebody's telling you clean the temple today, or somebody's guiding you, like do different kind of services that also will attract Krishna to you. That helps. But there's 9 processes of devotional service, and one of them is vandanam, which is prayer. So the example of the vandanam, Akrura, yeah, so he was praying to Krishna. So many other, so many. Prahlad Maharaj, he was always Smarnam, he was also always thinking of Krishna, but that's also, remembering Krishna is also a form of prayer. And he had a guru, his guru was Narada Muni. So we get guidance from guru, right? But the guru can't fly your plane. That body, that material body that you're in right now, that's a vehicle. It's not you. It's a vehicle. And you're inside the vehicle. And the super soul, the expansion, the plenary expansion of Krishna in the form of the super soul, is also situated within the heart, alongside yourself as the soul. And basically he's trying to be your co-pilot, but you can't hear him right now. I can't hear him. He's trying to give me instruction at every moment how I can go back to him. But because I'm covered by so much material sound and, I guess, contamination, like the 3 modes of material nature is explaining how we're very contaminated by them. So we have to rise above those 3 modes, which is very, in one sense, very difficult. And so we need the help of a spiritual master to intervene and to basically tell us what the super soul is trying to tell us. And he's right in front of you, so your guru is a person that has the ability to tell you what Krishna's thinking in terms of yourself, in terms of your life, and he can help you that way. Because we don't have the ability to hear Krishna right now. But we do have the Bhagavad-gita. We have the Bhagavatam, which is non-different. Like if I was fortunate enough, anyone of us, were able to sit down with Krishna and have a conversation, it really wouldn't be much different than this conversation. And the proof of it is in the Srimad Bhagavatam, the 11th canto. Krishna speaks to his best friend and dearest associate, Uddhava. And he basically repeats the Bhagavad Gita. And they're just hanging out, both of them, sitting down, and Uddhava's like, well, let me ask you a few questions. Just like Arjuna. They're having a talk between two intimate friends, and it's practically word for word. It's almost the same thing. So Krishna's disseminating this knowledge through his devotees for us, and the spiritual master helps us that way. So yes, but I think, praying to Krishna is very, very, actually Niranjan Swami, a very nice Prabhupada disciple, was asked recently, what do you think devotees are missing out on the most? And he said they're not praying enough. Prayer, So if we focus on prayer, it can really help our spiritual life. So is that helpful? Okay. So there's other things, obviously, being grateful, not taking things for granted, even though our life may not be as we imagined it, but gratitude attracts Krishna to us. It's a quality that he appreciates. I'm walking out, it's a nice sunny day, it's a nice breeze, there's oxygen that's allowing my body to function. I go to the supermarket, I can buy some food to eat. Hopefully I offer it to Krishna first. It's even better. I'm not taking these things for granted. So if you're grateful, Krishna becomes attracted to you by that mood. I like the fact that you're acknowledging me in your life, that you're not thinking this is, my entitlement, whatever it may be that you have, money, fame, whatever it is, If you're grateful for it, Krishna will give it to you. There's many, many devotees that are very opulent. They have a lot of, you could say they're very famous. Srila Prabhupada had temples all over the world. He was very wealthy, and he was known all over the world. He was very famous, but he was so humble, so grateful to Krishna at every moment that he wasn't affected by it. So Krishna just kept giving him more and more and more. Obviously, devotional service is very attractive to Krishna, right? So you're in the temple, and you come and you bring Krishna's devotee some flowers. Krishna appreciates that, or you clean the temple, or you cook for the devotees. You're doing some kind of practical devotional service. That's something that we can benefit, and it purifies our heart. And Krishna immediately takes notice of you when you start doing things like that. So if you want to attract him, you can do that. And I had a few other things. Can anybody come up with a few other things? Okay, well, okay.
Krishna likes it when you don't just approach him sometimes, but all the time.
Yeah. The more you try to think about him, the better.
Because a lot of people, they come to you, to Krishna or to anyone else, when they need something.
Some motive, yeah, right.
Yeah, but if it's all the time, then it means that even when you get what you want,
yeah,
you still approach Krishna. You still
right.
Put yourself before Krishna, seeking his,
good
seeking
or
to
bad.
please him.
Yeah, good or bad, you're always chanting Krishna's name. You're always doing service. Whether things are going great in your life or bad. You don't. It's not a fair weather friend. That's what they call it. You're actually a solid friendship. Okay, there's even a prayer like that by Lord Chaitanya, which is, even if you treat me roughly, I'll still want to chant your holy name. You know, sometimes Krishna has to resort to certain means that may appear to us to be a little bit extreme, but that's His mercy on us also, and that's also purification for us, and that also, in many cases, it speeds up the process of surrender. You know, we can come closer to God that way. Another one that I heard recently in a lecture, another quality that can attract Krishna is like patience or tolerance. So we get frustrated a lot in our spiritual life, at least for my part. You know, it's a battle every day, you know. So Krishna appreciates the fact that you're being patient. Rupa Goswami says that's also a very good quality, to remain enthusiastic alongside being patient. So that's something we need. The process actually works. It's not. This is not any kind of cheating. It's a kaitava dharma. It means cheating religion. Cheating religion is somebody's promise you like a certain result to some kind of religious practice, but it'll never happen. That's a cheating religion. They're cheating you, right? But real religion, which is bringing you closer to Krishna, is a process by which you do certain activities and you feel and you experience the result. It's happening. It's making a difference in my life. My heart is getting purified. I feel more closely connected to God. I feel that Krishna is actually reciprocating with me in my life, and I can feel Him, even though I can't see Him or speak to Him in a direct fashion. I can feel in my life His presence is there to some degree or other. And the more we follow the process with our heart and soul, Krishna starts to reveal Himself to us more and more. He won't hold back. We're the ones that are holding back. So the best thing is to be tolerant, to be patient. And Prabhupada says here, he says it doesn't happen. He said gradually, right? If he takes to Krishna consciousness, there is a chance of gradually becoming detached. But one has to associate himself with devotees. So this is another very important part of Krishna consciousness process, is the association of devotees. There's a very nice example that I read recently about the redwood trees. Anybody familiar with redwood trees? Yeah. So redwood trees are very strong trees, and the reason is all their roots underground, when they grow, they start to intertwine with each other. So all the redwood, if you go to a redwood tree forest, all of them are actually connected through their roots underneath the earth. And they can survive hurricanes, tornadoes, all kinds of things. As they're all together, they're united. So association of devotees gives us the strength to be able to go through the process of devotional service and feel like we can have some shelter. Otherwise, without the association, it becomes practically impossible, I think, very difficult, very rare, Any other questions? In the Bhagavad-gita, there's not a lot of detailed description of the Krishna's abode. It's referring to things in a very general way. The Srimad Bhagavatam, however, which is very much more extensive, has some more detailed descriptions of the spiritual world. Prabhupada refers to in the purport to the Vaikuntha planet. Vaikuntha means no anxiety. Kunta means anxiety, and Vaikuntha means the place where there's no anxiety. So here we're in this dark region of material creation, and we are unfortunately plagued by anxiety. So the spiritual world, Krishna gives little hints here and there. It's basically a place with no anxieties. We don't, the main purpose of our existence is to be servants of Krishna, and in the spiritual world, that's what we're doing. we're serving Krishna, but the service is so pleasing, and we're so happy doing it, that we're just fully content in that atmosphere. And it's eternal, and it's ever fresh. It's never dull. It's never boring. Here, after a while, you hang out with someone, hey, it's not interesting anymore. You can get bored of them because the material dynamic isn't the same. But spiritual dynamic, it's described in the spiritual world that every day, Krishna and Balaram, they take out the cows. Goloka Vrindavan, Goloka means the planet of the cows. So that's what Krishna does. He's a cowherd boy. Him and Balaram, his brother, they go together and they call all the cows. All the cows start coming in the morning. Then the cowherd boys come. Each of them have a group of different cows, and they all are responsible for making sure that the cows are happy and that they're grazing on the grass. So they take them out all day. They go by the Yamuna, they go in different forests by Govardhan Hill, and they just enjoy pastimes together. They eat together. Krishna brings his lunch bag, and the mother Yashoda, his mother, gives all different kinds of preparations, and he shares it with everybody. And then their mothers also gave them preparations, and they share it with Krishna. They give it to Krishna first, and then Krishna just shares it with everybody. So they're at the end of the day, they get all covered in dust, and then all the cows are super happy, and then they go back home. And then the gopis, on the way, they're looking for Krishna. They see him coming with Balaram and the cowherd boys. They get to see him. And then the parents of Krishna come and greet Krishna. And basically, these are kind of eternal activities. And the next day, guess what's happening? The same exact thing. They're doing the same activity. But it's so blissful, it's so ever fresh, and it's so potent that it just feels like a whole new experience. At least I've heard the analogy like that. I wish I could experience that. All right. Question? One more time? No?
What happens when you feel like boring?
Well, that's the thing. In the material world, the boredom exists, right? But in the spiritual, it doesn't exist. It doesn't exist. It's ever fresh. Everything is ever fresh. It has a spiritual dimension to it where our bliss increases moment by moment. And the intensity of that bliss is so absorbing for us, the soul. It's like we're in an ocean of nectar, ocean of happiness. And you think, this is great. But that ocean of happiness, in the next moment, it increases. And the moment after, it keeps increasing. It's hard for us to fathom, but we're coming in contact with God. And God is the reservoir of all pleasure. Rama. That's the other name here. All attractive and Rama, all pleasure. So we're in contact with him. And he's the reservoir of all pleasure. And we're in contact with his eternal consort, Srimati Radharani. She's the blissful energy, Ladini Shakti of the Lord. And she's blessing the entire spiritual world. All the happiness comes exactly from her. And she's giving her blessings to everything in the spiritual world, everyone. It's hard for us to conceive, and that's why Krishna in the Bhagavad-gita is more focusing on trying to give us an understanding of where we're at. It's like I guess you could say a spiritual GPS, hey, this is where you're at, And well, I don't know, GPS, maybe UPS, Universal Positioning System, I guess. Is it tell us where we are, where we are and where we have to go. And then beyond that, the Srimad Bhagavatam, which is another very nice Bhagavad Purana literature describing different pastimes of Krishna's devotees and also later on of Krishna directly. Then you have more detail of the spiritual world. But Bhagavad Gita is just gearing us to get out of the bodily concept of life. The fact that I'm not this body. If we can get to that point, Aham Brahmasmi, I'm a soul. It's not easy. It's not easy. You can chant for many, many years. You can do a lot of service. You may get glimpses of it, but to understand really that you're a soul on a realistic, honest level, it takes time. It's a lot of work, but it's worth it. But it's a lot of work. Ultimately, this body is going to lead you to being frustrated if you're too attached to it. It's going to get old. It's going to get diseases. Not to be negative or anything like that. This isn't a process of looking at the material concept as a negative thing. It's a process whereby we're realistically, what is this body? Realistically, what is it? We're so busy engaged serving this body every day. We're serving the body. We're bathing the body. We're feeding the body. We go out in the street, we're hanging out with friends. And on a subtle or even more than subtle level, we're glorifying the body. So how great I am, spreading the glory. Everything you would do with Krishna, really, you're just doing it for yourself through this body. You can bathe the deity, you can feed the deity, but for us, instead of Krishna being the deity right now, it's the body, this material body. But the frustrating thing is, and I've seen it very recently with a few relatives of mine. They've accumulated all the wealth they wanted. They have a nice apartment. They have everything they want, supposedly materially, but they're old now and they have a disease which is terminal. And they're realizing they're not going to live much longer. So then what do you do? It's so frustrating, right? You have no Krishna consciousness. You have no spiritual outlet. You put all your, anyway, we're vegetarians, but it's a good example. You put all your eggs in the basket. So.
Material basket.
Yeah, the material basket. And you didn't really consider that you, the soul, you also need nourishment. How you get food for the soul is you read Bhagavad-gita. Is you associate with devotees, you chant the holy name. So I think yes.
We just all understand that it's nothing wrong with that. It's
Yeah.
just that if you, because I believe that I believe that I'm here to receive everything.
Yes.
And to live with it, transform and be with the affinity of my soul.
Yes.
Get there.
Yes.
But
that's the purpose of the human form of life. It's to get some spiritual consciousness.
And in that process, I have the blessings to receive everything that is available for me.
Yes.
And I can have an apartment, I can have everything that you just mentioned.
Yes.
With consciousness, be a serviceman and
Right.
help others and
Right.
work with my correction in my connection with my soul.
Yes. Yeah. Krishna can give you that. He gives you facility. If you're grateful, sometimes people don't believe in God. They're not grateful, but their karma gives them all kinds of wealth and things like that. But that's ultimately more frustrating for them, because when they're going to lose all that, it's going to be very difficult. They're very attached. And Krishna's telling us to be detached. There's many nice devotees. Ambarish Maharaj, for example, he's very opulent. He was a king. He had so much opulence. His opulence was more than all the demigods. And he was a devotee of Krishna. He was spending about 7 hours a day worshiping Krishna. That's a description. He was engaged in deity worship. And he had so much opulence, but he was detached. He wasn't, thinking this is all mine and, how great it is, how great I am that I have this. He was using it all in Krishna's service. And he understood that it's only there for a limited amount of time. After a certain time, the body, we have to leave the body. Just like, your lease runs out in your apartment, you have to move out. With this body, we have a lease and it has an end date. That's it. Nothing you can do about it. Even if you were the wealthiest man in the world, you can't buy you can't even buy a second back. It's finished. Body's gone, you got to start over. You don't know where you're going to end up next, but you have to start over. So.
On that point, so what is it? Chapter 2, is it text 43 or 44? I forget. Bhogaishvarya Prasaktanam Taya Parita Chetasam Udeo Vyavasayanam Samadana Vidiyate. So for those who are too attached and bewildered by material opulences, the resolute determination for devotional service doesn't take place. So, what is it? 44? Okay, yeah. I always think it's 43, but I'm aware it's actually 44. Yeah. So it's interesting because on the one hand, if you have opulences, you can absolutely be very devoted to Krishna, but the tendency is not to be, because most people are striving for such things, not because they want to use them in Krishna's service. Most people are striving for material opulences, fame, power, wealth, of course, beautiful associates. Most people are striving for these things, not because they're thinking, oh, let me use this in devotional service, but because they're thinking that these are the things that will make them happy, and therefore the more that they become attached to these things, the more that they actually turn their backs towards Krishna, and therefore the greater portion of our society, of the world, these things are dangerous, especially if that's your interest. But you can certainly, but at the same time, whatever we're doing, we should do the best we can. So we should, if we have our position in this world as a worker, a banker, a lawyer, like I'm a lawyer, whatever it is, you should do the best you can while you're being devoted to Krishna, and then learn how to use your assets and your talents in Krishna's service. But most of us, and I see so many of my people I deal with, some of whom are more successful than others. And it's interesting because you can see that the greatest downfall of human society is when people start to accumulate certain opulences, where they're on their way to getting them. They're thinking that now they've got it, and so there's no interest in learning about Krishna. So sometimes it's easier to give someone the message of the absolute truth to someone who doesn't think they've got what they need. So someone who's a little bit humbled by the problems of this world, including the struggle to have the basic amenities that a lot of people want. People who are humbled by that struggle, often they're more receptive to hearing the message of Godhead. But absolutely, someone who's not struggling certainly has the capacity to become a great devotee of the Lord, and they all should. But statistics say that those who are struggling are more inclined usually to hear the message of Godhead. But it's not absolute. And my partner, I would say, is in the latter category when she took to the path of devotional service, where I was sort of in the, like most people, struggling. So.
Oh, okay, one more question.
Sorry. I just wanted to add on. I feel like that's something that I've been thinking about. It's like that. I'm not sure exactly the story, but I know like Indra was cursed and he became a boar or something like that in the material.
A hog,
yeah.
Right.
And you know, he really liked his life. And he was like, why would I go back there when this is great? So even if someone is struggling, they may think that where they are is okay, you know? It's okay. Like, it's good. My life is good. I'm happy where I am, you know? No matter what, no matter where you are on the spectrum.
When you think you're fine, that's the problem.
Right.
So Maya's potencies, she has two potencies. One is when you turn away from Krishna. It's Krishna Bahir Mukh. You turn your face away from Krishna. Maya grabs you. One of her potencies is she throws you in the material energy. The second one, she covers you. So we think everything is hunky-dory even if we're in the body of a hog. And, you know, hogs eat kind of really bad things, but he had a hog family and everything, and he was all happy And Lord Brahma came and said, hey, you've been cursed, you're Indra, what's up, let's go back, I'm here to take you back. And I don't know how he spoke to Brahma, in some kind of hog language, something, I don't know what he said, but basically he's like, I'm happy, yeah, I want to be here. So Brahma, out of compassion, which may seem to us a little extreme, he killed his whole family right in front of him.
I didn't hear that part of the
Yeah,
story.
well, that's how he got him to wake up, And then Indra was like, oh, maybe this guy's, maybe he's right. Let's go, And then
well, that's why
they booked out of there.
I don't compare too much. I don't compare my life to other people's life too much, because it's like, you may think that everything is great,
Yeah.
but like, nothing is great. Nothing here is great. Like, it's best to just get out.
I think we all come to Krishna consciousness because we have that realization to some degree or other. Otherwise, we wouldn't come to Krishna consciousness, and we would be out in some bar getting drunk and thinking that that's the way to kind of forget about everything and everything's going to be great, but actually ends up in total misery or whatever else you choose to do, So we're very fortunate, Sorry.
I just want to share this is my first time.
Oh, very nice. Welcome. Welcome.
It's beautiful.
Thank you.
I can say that it's a beautiful energy here. The reason I came is because someone in the park in Fifth Avenue gave me one of this.
Oh, very nice.
Long time ago. And I have it, I read it, I don't understand some of the
Sanskrit?
stories.
Yeah.
I say, well, if I want to know, I want to awake something there, so I have to go and see. And that's exactly what
Right.
he does with each one.
Yes.
Each one is ours.
Yes.
Awakening and just bringing us closer to our soul and our personal work.
Yes.
In personal awakening, but no reason to me also talking about what you say is no reason to compare. It's true, no reason to judge everybody because everybody has their own personal journey to get there, get the with the affinity of their soul. That's what I learned. That's what I understand.
Yes.
And it's part, being here for first time is part of my journey. I don't know what's going to happen next.
Right.
It's beautiful. I feel
We have a very short amount of time here, It's not very long. We may think it's going to be 100 years, but a lot of time it's much less, So within that short time, Krishna's trying to make us fully Krishna conscious. He's very vigilant. God is very conscious and very aware, of what needs to be done for us. He's expert. He's God. He has no limitation. He's like a most accurate surgeon. And he will perform the surgery until the end, until it's perfect. No flaw in the surgery. That's if we want to. If our desire is to go back to him, he'll slice away all the bad stuff and bring you back to your pure self. But if you want to hold on, he's also, Krishna gives you free will. He wants love. Love is free will. You don't force someone to love you. And he's a person. Even though he's a supreme person, he's still a person. And love is, you give yourself fully, Whatever affection you have for this world, whether it be whatever it be, where you direct your attention and your affection towards that in the world, that much you're not directing it towards God, right? But if you were to give your full attention to God and your full affection, you'll realize, since he's the source of everything and the source of everyone, automatically your affection for everything and everyone also develops. So it's a byproduct. But the central focus is your relationship with Krishna. All right, so we'll have Kirtan, right?